I will be doing a quick review for the Type 5 Ke-Ho. This is a Japanese Tier 4 light tank. Before I get into the history, I'd like to fix a typo that I made in the last review on the Tier 3 Japanese Kini tank. The tank Keto, which I mentioned in the Kini review, literally translate as light 7 or light tank number 7. Also, in future reviews, I will have a timetable in the details underneath the video so you can skip to any part of the video. Let's get to the tank history now. The history of the Type 5 Ke-Ho. This is going to be a bit of a short history lesson on this tank. This tank, it was a prototype, so it doesn't have a lot of history to it. The name Ke-Ho literally translates as light 5 or light tank number 5. The tank was originally designed in 1942, but it was mass produced in 1945, which only one was actually made. When I was doing my research on the Ke-Ho, I discovered that the Type 95 Hago, it was still being used up to 1945 still, but it was completely, absolutely obsolete by this point. From 1942 to 1945, Japan was suffering from supply problems. From this time period, with the loss of territory and supplies, Japan was being bombed by the Allies. This had a major effect on the production in the Japanese homeland. The two tanks that actually helped improve the Ke-Ho was the Kini and the Keto. Both of these tanks were good stepping stones when it came to improving the Ke-Ho. But unfortunately, the Kini and the Keto were insufficiently underarmed and underpowered for what tasks they had to do. Unfortunately, the Japanese tank production was on the low end, which I covered in detail on the Genie review. The supply problem had a major effect on the Japanese tank production. Not a lot of tanks were produced, though. Most of it, the supply that Japan did have left over, went to the ship and plane production. The only one that was actually produced had the 47mm gun type 1. With the history lesson taken care of, let's get to the stats of the tank. The stats for this tank. It have 340 hit points. The max ton for this tank to have on it is 12.5. My current setup, it is 10.59 tons with everything on it. The maximum horsepower, it is 150 horsepower. The top speed, it is 50 kilometers. The horsepower to ton ratio with my current setup, it is 14.16 horsepower to 1 ton. The hold first between the two tracks, it is 54 for the stock with the upgraded tracks up to 60 degrees. The turret verse, as it's only one turret, it have 36 degrees. This could be better, it could be worse. The whole armor and the turret armor is just bad, but you will gotten used to this if you have played the Japanese tanks up to this tier so far and past it. The hull armor, it is 20 millimeters in the front, 16 to the side, and 12 in the rear. With the angling the armor does have, everything is going to penetrate it still. Same thing for the turret. The turret, it is 30 millimeters to the front, 20 to the side, 16 to the rear. But the rear, it is, for the turret, it is completely flat, so you only have 16 millimeters of protection. The rate of fire for my current setup for the tank, I get 25 rounds per minute for both the guns. The loading for the shell, it is 2.17 seconds for both of the guns. The first replay, the loading speed and the rate of fire was a little bit different, but that was before I actually had these modules put on. That replay was before I put the modules on. The view range, it is 340, but with the binocs fence, you can actually get up to 423. The radio range, it is 350 to 550 meters. The pros for this tank, it is rather quite small for the tank. It's quite hard to hit, have moderately good agility. It does not get scout matchmaking, good gun depression, and camo, and have rather quite a good gun at the TL it's at. With the two gun, the 47 and the 57 millimeter, if used properly, you can tear tier 5 and 6s apart with these if you know how to use the tank properly. The cons for this tank. It is rather quite slow for the tank, but you can still get your location A to B. It have no armor whatsoever. The gun handling is mediocre. You will have problems sniping with this tank. You do not try sniping with this tank at long distances though. You can technically, with some success, you can snipe from 100 to 200 meters though, but anything more than 100 meters, then you will have problems when it comes to sniping. With the gun accuracy, you will have problems hitting weak spots in and around the tank. The tank, as it's a tier 4 light tank, you will get only tier 4 to tier 6 matchmaking. The playstyle that I found successful for the tank, it is, you can play it as a scout, as a flanking tank, as a support, and as a aggressive frontline tank. Some side notes before I actually get into the research of this tank. There's very little grinding when it comes to the research of the tank. It is pretty much straightforward to unlock the Chinu. You only just have to unlock the experimental 57mm tank gun Shin. This is a fun tier 4 light tank. Unfortunately, this is the last light tank in the Japanese line that you will be using before it link up back to the Chinu. Maybe in the future they will put in more Japanese light tanks, but we will see. The light and the medium at tier 4 both meet up at the tier 5. The tier 5 is the Type 3 Chinu. The equipment that you can actually put onto this tank, if you are planning to keep this, the medium gun rammer to decrease the loading speed, vents to improve everything on the tank, coated optics if you want to play this as a passive aggressive tank. You can have a camo net if you want to. And my setup for increasing my view range, I have binocs telescopes. The way how I have my tank set up, I have gun rammer, vents, and the binocular telescopes. My current setup offers a mix between passive scouting from a distance to being quite aggressive. There's very little research that you need to do. The engine, you only have one. The tracks, you want to get the upgraded tracks to put everything on, just for the reason of better traverse speed and increased load limit. The radios, you just want to get the top radio because you don't want to use the stock 350 meter radio. You want to use the 550 meter radio. The turret, you only have one. You will have to only use the 57mm gun to unlock the Chino. You can unlock the experimental 57mm gun if you went down the medium line. If you did not went down the medium line to unlock this gun, you still have to research it to put it onto the Chino. With the research taken care of, the 47mm and the 57mm use the same ammo type: regular AP, premium AP, and HE. The HE offers you 22 to 36mm of pen, the damage 75 to 125 damage. The blast radius is 0.66 meters, but I don't really use the HE rounds at all. I mainly use the premium AP and the regular AP. I have 60% regular AP and 60% regular AP, and the other 40-ish percent premium AP rounds. Both of them have the same damage output, 56 to 94. The difference is the penetration. The standard AP, you can pen most tanks with these from 65 to 109 millimeters of millimeters for penetration. The premium ammo have increased penetration, which is good for handling heavily armored tanks that would be from tier 4 up to tier 6, with 98 to 164 millimeters of armor. If you do use the premium ammo, it's going to set you back a little bit. The premium ammo costs you 2,000 in-game credits or 5 gold per shell. But the premium ammo can save you against high-tier tanks at times, if you are facing it by yourself. I have two replays in line to show you how to use the Ke-Ho. Let's get to them now. This replay, I am in a tier 4 match, which I managed to get my Master Ace Tanker badge in this match. I use the tactics for this tank. I played it as a aggressive frontline tank. When you're using this tactic, though, you just have to be careful because you don't have a lot of hit points and armor. And everything can pen you with ease. But if you use this tactic properly and carefully and know what is around you all the time, this is a very viable tactic for this tank. I do make some mistakes in this replay, but I quickly learn from my mistakes. I will point them out as they come. There's the A20 coming to scout. I try to at least damage or at least cripple the A20 from moving. The A20 there, he's about to get put out of commission. With that lighting taken care of, I went up to the hill area up here. At 100 meters, or a little bit more than that, like 120-ish, you can snipe with this tank still. It's just at distances that this tank have problems sniping at. I took a bit of a hit there. I'm about to make a mistake with the header coming up here. I am just crossing the ridge, just seeing if anything else is on the other side. I just shot the upper glacis plate of the header. If you use the premium ammo, you can pen that with ease. Always remember to aim at weak spots when you're using Japanese tank and their guns. I feel sorry for this M3 Lee. You have to go through that grind. I didn't like it at all when I had to go through the M3 Lee. Here I made another mistake. I stood still while the T-50 got some shots on me. Fortunately, the T-82 put it out of commission. Our team on the right side, it's holding the line. At this point, after looking at the map, I see there was a opening and a weak spot on the red team side. Unfortunately, a conventor, or however you pronounce it, got in the open there. I used my speed and my rate of fire to take him out of commission. Now have the T40, the M5 Stuart, and the Matildas and the M37 at the ridge line there. If you can, try to lead your shots in the direction that the tank is going, like here. Unfortunately, I do miss some. I finally got to kill that M5 Stuart. Now, time to go after the Matilda and the M37. The Matildas, if you're facing them from the front, you can just use the premium ammo to penetrate them or any heavily armored vehicle in the front that would have very thick armor at tier 4. I did not do much here. I just was spotting the Matilda so the team could kill it. I did finally went over the hill, but it was too late. The next screenshot, it's going to be my battle results from that tank and how much damage I did to get the Master Ace Tanker badge. The the replay here, I got myself into a tier 6 match. I used a somewhat slightly aggressive slash cautious tactics when I got to where the tier 5 and 6s are in the north. I will be speeding up to get to the front lines now. The Cromwell just spotted the LC. I tried to get some shots on the LC, but he most likely know what is about to happen and is falling back to a safer location. A T-34 and its brother, the T-34-85, came out to the front line, Theo. The red team, knowing what is about to happen, they're trying to fall back to a secure location. Unfortunately, they are having a bad day, as the Norse team is doing a good push with that tanks in the valley here taken care of. We are now pushing to the red base. We just have the Cromwell to taken care of, and the people at base. A good thing though, the people at base are holding off the push in the south, while we are getting to assist them after the base is taken care of. Now there's the KV-1, the SU-85B, and the SU-8 around the base still. There's the M6 and the SU-5, but the Luch and the Type 58 can handle them by themselves. This SU-8, me and the Cromwell cooperated together to take care of the SU-8. I did not pin the KV-1. I could have used premium ammo though, but it would have been a waste of ammo for me. With the red base cleared, the green team is clearing the rest of the tanks in the valley this area here. The pincer that's that the base team helped by holding them off, and the people in the north managed to keep the south busy while the north went to the south to get rid of the last two remaining tanks for the win. The Cromwell that was with me at base, he used his good rate of fire gun to destroy the Hellcat. Just T-150, I managed to penetrate him. Most times I had problems penetrating the T-150. With this replay taken care of, let's get to the garage for the summary of the tank. Let's do a quick summary for this tank. This is a light tank. It is a small size, which is good for its camouflage, its agility. As being its for its size, it is hard to hit. This tank does have two good guns that you can use. Just use whichever one that suits your preference style, more or less. The 57mm is the best one to use once you get used to it. The downside to this tank, it have no armor whatsoever. It does require some time to get used to the gun handling and how this tank operates. When you do see one, never ever underestimate how well this tank can perform. As in the first replay, I did moderately well after I had learned from my past mistakes in that match. Overall, I actually like this Ke-Ho with my current setup I have. I'm planning to keep this tier 4 as a fun tank in the lower tiers. I hope that this guide have helped you understand how to use zucchini and how to destroy one if you do see one on the battlefield. Until next time, good luck on the battlefield.